Well, in Afghanistan, our troops are dying from IEDs, ambushes, suicide bombers. Now there's another enemy that's killing them. Drugs. This is a country that is estimated to supply more than 90% of the world's opium. And now it's gotten a hold of our men and women in uniform. The Army reports that in just 1 year, 8 of our soldiers have died overdosing on heroin and morphine. And more than 4 dozen soldiers were investigated for using, possessing, or selling drugs. And on top of those disturbing numbers, the Army also reports that the use of heroin among its soldiers is on the rise. Tom Fitton, president of Judicial Watch, a conservative legal group, joins me now. Tom, Afghani dip is a term used by these soldiers. What happened to the discipline?
Oh, I think the Army is very well disciplined. The question is this problem associated with being deployed in the opiate capital of the world being handled appropriately by the military leadership? And are those being deployed understand the easy access to drugs they'll have? And do the family members of those being deployed understand that it's a risk factor as well? And is everyone on the lookout for the problems that result from drug abuse and addiction? You know, if you think drug addiction is going to be solved by going into the military, it's not. And if you're deployed to Afghanistan, it's probably going to get worse.
So you're saying, are you saying that this investigation found that these were soldiers that already had some sort of addiction to drugs and heroin was the next thing to try? Or is this something to do with repeat deployments, being in a war zone, and being tempted by a quick fix to feel high?
Well, one can only speculate, but my guess is it's a combination of all of those factors. And, you know, the military needs to be forthright about this. And we have to understand that the source for some of these drugs is directly from the Afghan National Police and the Afghan Army. So the guys that we're working with over there, our supposed allies, are dealing drugs to our deployed forces there. And, you know, talking about undermining the relationship. And this is something we need to be on the alert for. Drug use in the military has had devastating consequences in the 70s, and we just want to be able to nail this in the crib to make sure it doesn't get out of control. And one of the first steps is by asking for it through the Freedom of Information Act. Here, we would not have known about these deaths if but for Judicial Watch's Freedom of Information Act request early this year, asking about what's going on there in Afghanistan with respect to opiates.
And we did reach out to DOD, did not get a comment by the start of our program. We also reached out to the Army over the weekend, did not get a comment. So, there's a couple of lingering questions that I have with regard to, could these guys be charged? What can you tell me about that? And also, you've got some rehab that's going to have to take place now. So who's going to cover that? The VA is already overwhelmed with so many other issues.
Well, you know, in terms of the charging, the investigation documents we have are just that, investigation documents. How the cases have been resolved, they did not give us the information about. The rehab is an open question. That's a good question for the military. Certainly if there's criminal charges associated with misusing this prescription medication or heroin, which is easily available there in Afghanistan, you know, folks are going to be relatively hesitant to turn themselves in. You know, this is a dangerous situation. Some of these documents show that some of these young guys were smoking hashish at their forward operating bases. So, you know, these are dangerous situations they're in, and you want them to be 100% ready, and obviously if they're on drugs, they're not 100% ready. Yeah,
it's disturbing, and it's pretty heart-wrenching because it puts a black eye on all the men and women that are doing such a good job over there. Tom Fitton, president of Judicial Watch, conservative legal group, thank you so much. Appreciate your time.
Hey, thank you, Kira.
You bet.
Yep.
Kurt Cobain, the Nirvana frontman who defined grunge rock